What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It's great to be here with all of you. It is Wednesday, the 14th of April, 4:05 p.m. here on the East Coast. And as always, joined alongside my co-host, Gavin Tony. We have a lot to go over today. As Gavin has said, and I said as well, as the season gets underway and people start not being fully attentive to the team, the Phillies are starting to slip a little bit. But I'll tell you why I'm not worried in just a minute. Philadelphia Flyers continue to struggle. They got absolutely obliterated last night by the Washington Capitals. Philadelphia 76ers tonight will be playing the Nets bench. That's kind of exciting, right? And, of course, to end it all, the Atlantic dropping an absolute bombshell on Monday, dismantling the entire Eagles organization. Before all of that, I do want to preface it by thanking anybody who did watch our show on Monday. It's not easy to do shows like that. It's not just a act that we put on the show. These are real emotions that we have a chance to just sit here and discuss and have an open dialogue. So if you haven't gotten a chance to watch that, we are still learning about the situation as it unfolds, and we're going to continue to report and say our thoughts and give some of the other information we're able to provide. Of course, today we are going to be moving forward with sports, but not forgetting. That's kind of the important part about this entire thing. Making sure that we're going to remember to keep this at the forefront, continue fighting for justice, continue fighting in every way we can. And we're going to continue to figure out ways that we can all do that. Our whole as a society always can do better in ensuring equality as long as you're not stepping on anybody else. And other than that, just as we get started today, thank you to everybody who watched us. We got some positive feedback, some questions floating into myself. I was able to talk with some people and have a good discussion, just trying to get on the same page, get people to understand exactly what's going on. And look, this is why we do it. We're happy to be the ones to take the bullet per se, as far as sitting here and being the ones that are willing to let our emotions spill over on screen. And we understand a lot of people aren't always comfortable with that, but we are, because we know that this can help other people understand and let them know what they're feeling towards certain situations and towards certain subjects. You're not alone. That's kind of the bottom line that I have. Gavin, I'll let you say anything you want on that before we do proceed.
Well, first of all, Zach, how you doing? And you're right. Listen, those conversations aren't easy to have. Trust me, we struggle with the conversation. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it live in front of whoever watches us during it, and then whoever watches afterwards to have the conversation. But that should hope, and I hope that when we have those conversations, when we had the Monday, when we talked about the recent situation, when we go back to, what was it, 4 or 5 months ago in August, Zach, right? And that Thursday in August, where we had another great hour conversation about of what was going on in the summertime. But we hope that, one sparks conversation around others to have. I know you guys won't be doing it online, and you don't have to do everything online, but that let us do that. Let us have the talks that hopefully sparks conversation around the country, and hopefully that one day we can all come together and realize what's really going on here. But Zach, as you said earlier, sports continues, and I didn't forget about this, Zach, because you're in trouble. You're in trouble, my friend, about this. You are.
And we'll see how it rolls out, but we're going to kick off today. We are going to go through the order. We'll start with the big story with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we will unravel from there, going through some of the other teams. Rounded off, of course, talking about the 76ers against the Brooklyn Nets in Philadelphia tonight. But let's get started with it. For those who may or may not be familiar, the Atlantic recently published a bombshell article about the Philadelphia Eagles organization, how power-hungry Jeffrey Lurie is, the way that they would meet with Doug Peterson every Tuesday and pretty much sit there with him and threaten him, and a few other things. Rumor has it the analytics team actually favored the passing game more than the running game. Maybe it wasn't a Doug Peterson issue, but they treat him like a baby. That was one of the quotes that I saw. And then on top of all of that, just a few other areas that we saw. And yeah, the Athletic, they're a company that has a lot of reporters with a lot of teams. And with Philadelphia, a lot of inside sources they quoted, treating them like a baby. Just a few others that come up as far as some general thoughts. The biggest thing is that the analytics team and the football team, as far as the people that understand personnel and understand the positions and scouts, them and the analytics team don't get along at all. And Howie Roseman exacerbates the problem. That is the general message and takeaway that I saw from this. Jeffrey Lurie continued to micromanage. He can't get out of his own way. The fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl with all this shit going on is a miracle. I'll say it here. And the salary cap is pretty bad. Biggest dead cap hit in history, or now might be second. I think the Rams may have topped them with Jared Goff's contract, shipping him off to Detroit. But on the other hand, the Eagles are not in a very functional position. And you have a guy, Nick Sirianni, who took the job, got his first chance to be a head coach. And if he reads that article and then he starts experiencing some of these things, it's not a good look for Philadelphia. Philadelphia very quickly becomes a very unattractive destination. And all of a sudden, players start thinking the same way. This is a pretty troubled situation. Doug Peterson was micromanaged and ran out of Philly. He was threatened to be fired before the season in 2017. They actually had his replacement ready in the year they won the Super Bowl. In case they got off to a rocky start, he was going to be fired. This is really bad. This is Jets bad, Bengals bad. The Eagles are a garbage franchise. They are a basement-dwelling franchise.
Nick's bad. Come on, let's be honest. This is New York Nick level.
This is, I mean, to have the owner with a bunch of analytics guys come in, a bunch of Ivy League, and nothing against that, but Ivy League analytics guys don't know football the way that true football scouts do. The draft picks with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor specifically, and Davion Taylor, all three were analytics team picks, not scout team picks, and there was a lot of infighting consistently. And again, Howie Roseman does not do a good job at covering this up. I am frustrated today with the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only was their play on the field this year foul, but all over the place, everything appeared to be poor. You wonder why Carson Wentz wanted to get out of Philly. First of all, Philly is a great fan base. It wasn't the fans why Carson Wentz left. All right? And if you're a functional franchise in Philadelphia, which right now there's maybe one, the Philadelphia 76ers, and that's only because they just recently brought in some better people in the front office and the ownership. But with all that being said, Philly's a great place to be. People love it here. Bryce Harper likes it here. Carson Wentz enjoyed his time here. The front office had to be that bad to cause these issues. They would press Doug Peterson. They wouldn't give him a chance to do his own thing. I think Peterson deserves more credit. I was very harsh on Doug this year. But once a lot of this reporting came out, it makes Doug Peterson look a lot smarter and might make it easier for him to get a job down the line because this is terrible. The talent acquisition, problem number one, is terrible. All right? The fact that the analytics team is calling all the shots, horrible. There's this one individual who's a vice president of football operations who's in the analytics part, Harvard graduate, of course. You know, you're pretty smart, obviously. But the guy never spent a day understand with football. It's all numbers for them. This team is trying to go way too analytical without factoring in that the scouts have opinions too. And if it was for the scouts, we'd probably have DK Metcalf and we'd have Justin Jefferson here right now.
First of all, Zach, are you apologizing to Doug Peterson? You were harsh on him this year. I was too, but Zach, is this an official apology?
It's not, because I'm not sure where the scheming of the routes come from, because those were straight up horrible and the game plan installation was horrible. But the kind of pressure you're put under every Tuesday to be put on the spotlight when you're supposed to be coaching your team for the next week, being like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? It doesn't give you an opportunity to bounce back yourself. You ever hear this saying, sometimes you got to let kids make mistakes and let them learn from them? You can't micromanage every day. If a kid does something wrong, you can't always be right there and tell them exactly what it was. Sometimes they got to learn on their own, and the Eagles didn't let Doug Peterson do that. And, of course, like I just pointed out a few minutes ago, it turns out the analytics team was pushing for a more pass-dominant offense, and that wasn't Doug Peterson.
So from what I'm getting is you're partly sorry. I got it. Having said that, listen, Zach, what I'm about to say right here, if you know me and if you've been following the show, you know how much I despise this man right here. Not Jeffrey Lurie. I despise James Dolan. Zach, what I'm about to say is going to be mind-blowing. Jeffrey Lurie needs to stay the heck out the way, just like James Dolan does when it comes to basketball operations. Just cut the checks and smile. And if you're Jeffrey Lurie, just do what you're supposed to do. Be the owner. Be present when needed to be. And then bounce. Zach, James Dolan's the worst owner in basketball, in the NBA. But the reason why I can't argue with him in this point is because when it comes to him to sign and pay people, he does. He does. You can't. I mean, Kevin Durant, that was a bad one. You didn't do it, but you did everything else you're supposed to. You cut the check when needed to. Jeffrey Lurie, cut the check, stay out the way, because what you're doing is not helping. Ivy League analytics versus scouts. Zach, no disrespect to Ivy League, but there's one thing different between regular analytics and sport analytics. Analytics ruins the game, any game, at any point in time. Zach, me and you learned that the hard way when we were doing our own analytics in our own stat class. And I looked and I texted you and said, well, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I'm playing the smart route. I'm kicking the field goal here. I'm scoring this touchdown here. I don't care about analytics. But if you're investing in analytics and you're not getting the job right, why don't you go listen to what you pay the man to do? Why don't you listen to what Doug Peterson is supposed to do? If you love to run the ball more than 25 times more, right? They win. Buffalo was a great example. Zach, Buffalo and Green Bay, you were personally there for that one. When they run the ball more than 25 times, they win. All right. So next part of the chapter or the article. Howard Roseman. Zach, so you think I'm going to sit here and blame Jeffrey Lurie? No. Howard Roseman oversees everything that goes on with this roster.
He has the last call.
He has the last call on everything. Who you're drafting, what the trade, what free agent signings are you? This guy's an idiot because you know why he's an idiot, Zach? Not only did you pass up on DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson, arguably they're going to be 1 and 2 for the longest time, and as long as you have a job, Howard, you're going to hear about that from me at least, and from other Eagles fans. But Zach, you also traded away the 6th pick in the draft to go to 12, and guess what, Zach? You're behind the Giants and the Cowboys. You were in front of all your NFC East rivals. So what does that prove? Oh, and Zach, by the way, you wouldn't even think about trying to help the situation whatsoever. You're going to draft another quarterback for what? For what reason? Why? We're not quarterback factory. You can't produce one. 2 quarterbacks can't play on the field at the same time. What is that, Zach? This is not college. This is not high school. But my problem still lies with Howard, regardless of what Jeffrey Lurie says, but regardless of anything, ownership will always be a problem for any team. Zach, if you're the Cowboys, Jason Garrett or Howard that goes, Jason Garrett controlled a lot of things in the Dallas organization. If you're the New York Knicks, your owner doesn't care. He has a bad reputation. He likes kicking fans out. Zach, ownership's always going to be a problem. Not everybody wants to be a Mark Cuban or the owner of the Clippers and Jeannie Buss. They're not going to be like them. But the least you could do, if you're the general manager, is put your team in ways to succeed. Zach, what did Daryl Morey and everybody else do this year? First of all, the ownership, which I'm not a big fan of the Sixers ownership, but you got Doc Rivers. Doc, what does Doc do? You let him pick his own staff. That's something that the Eagles never let Doug Peterson do, pick his own staff.
They forced him to fire his offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach the previous year.
Exactly. First of all, the Sixers let Doc Rivers pick his own coaches. They said, Doc, whoever you want, you go get, you bring him in. Next. Then you get Daryl Morey. You don't put any restriction on Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is not sitting here trying to make you fail. He got rid of one of the worst contracts I've ever seen in my life, which is paying Al Horford, who's an aging dinosaur, who's about to be a standing statue because I don't think he can run up and down the court anymore. He doesn't play no more this year. Zach, what I'm trying to say
is the Thunder are just getting younger.
They're getting younger and they have a lot of draft picks. But Zach, that is the definition of a well-running franchise. Now, regardless, the Sixers haven't won anything notable recently in the recent past 10 years. But guess what, Zach? They're trying. The Phillies, as much as I hate them, they're trying. The Eagles, this is so dysfunctional. And Zach, in the article, remember it said Brian Dawkins was sped up. The face of our franchise, Brian Dawkins, was sped up. He said, there's a lot of in-house fighting. That's not going to work. If me and you had a major company at this talk show, and the 2 co-hosts were fighting about who should have more airtime and who should talk more, would this show be successful? It's a miracle,
like the Eagles did this year.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle that the Eagles even won the Super Bowl. They had no business being there. They really didn't. Let's be honest. And now they're in cap crisis. For a guy in a general manager who's supposed to be a cap genius, more like a cap idiot, Zach. I mean, if you were sitting here telling me that 2 years later or 2 to 3 years later after the Super Bowl, we're going to be this crisis, and you would ask Hal, Zach, I could do Howie's job because he doesn't care about numbers. He's like, oh, I'm going to sign you here. I'm going to sign you here. I'm going to sign you here. We're going to push everything back. That's all he's doing. There's nothing special about this guy. So if you want to look at the article, Zach, you can blame whoever you want. My problem still lies with Howard Roseman because it's time and time again, you have the final say about what garbage we watch on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of everything, but you're relying on people who have given you misinformation. What is it statistically? You look at J.J. Arcega-White, said, okay, maybe he had a better red zone catch percentage than DK Metcalf, but there's still a football side. Would you rather draft a guy who has a slightly better red zone percentage or whatever the stat was that went to Stanford, and play that competition? Or would you rather have someone from the SEC, Ole Miss, in DK Metcalf? I mean, I don't like that's where the football side comes from. That's where the football side is, and the Eagles are lacking that significantly. It's causing rifts in the locker room, and it's no surprise this team was bad this year.
It goes back to this year's draft. No disrespect to Zach Wilson. I hear all this talk about Trey Lance and Zach Wilson going before Justin Fields. Once again, Trey Lance, who the heck do you play? Zach Wilson. Trey Lance only played one game this year. Zach Wilson, no disrespect to Zach Wilson, but we didn't rave about BYU at all this year. You gotta look at the competitions. Like that actually does matter. And going back to our instance, when you look at who the Eagles pass up on, and you look at who they got in return, I don't know where J.J. Arcega-Whiteside resided from. I don't know, and nor do I even care. And the only reason I know where Jalen Reagor, where he resides from, is because I watched that draft pick happen in front of my eyes, and I knew he was going to be trash ever since he got here. And I'm not wishing bad, but Zach, when you have a guy, two guys, you could maybe say three, because I think A.J. Brown was there too when you had the chance to get him.
McLaurin
was there, a whole bunch of guys. You picked two guys that had no business being round one draft pick, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside had no business being round 1 or 2 whenever you got him. It doesn't matter. He has no business. That's like a round 5 pick draft right there. Jalen Reagor, you're 3 or 4. 3's being nice. I'm being honest, Zach. I mean, come on. He wasn't the best wide receiver in here. The fact that best wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, fell behind Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and CeeDee Lamb, and Zach, it was like you couldn't ask anything better than that. Like it just dropped in your arms. All you do is reach out and catch it, and you somehow fumble the bag. I don't understand this.
Reach out and catch it. It appears to be something that the Eagles wide receivers can't do, and they certainly couldn't do it in this situation. With that being said, yes, this was such an obvious pick, and the Eagles found a way to drop the ball. The football team was a disaster a few years ago. They're shaping up nicely now. The Giants have shaped up nicely. The Bengals are going to shape up nicely, and the Jets, I see potential. A lot of the teams that have been disasters get out of it. For the Eagles, we're going into this abyss now. Hopefully they get out, but it's going to be a long, dreary road there. With that being said, we're going to cut the break. Coming up after this, the Philadelphia Phillies, what went wrong yesterday, and can Zach Wheeler in his revenge game against the New York Mets come up big tonight? Stay tuned. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. And there it is. I'll keep it quick and simple. The Phillies yesterday had their 5-pitcher go. Chase Anderson, it was a pretty good game. They should have won. An error at second base caused them to lose. They were up at that point. They ended up blowing the game. Second of the doubleheader, Aaron Nola did not look like himself at all. Ended up losing 4-0 tonight. Zach Wheeler goes up against the New York Mets. The guy he's going up against, I don't know his name, but he's got a 13 ERA. I expect a big win tonight for the Phillies. The offense has began coming alive. Past few games against the Braves were good as well. They currently sit 1 game above 500. Let's take a look at the MLB standings right now. The Philadelphia Phillies still sit in first place in the NL East. They're going to need to be above 500 to make the playoffs. The shocker of this year was the Red Sox at 7-3 and the Yankees at 5-7. But we'll talk about that at a different time. Right now, the Mets actually they are technically tied with the Phillies for first place at 4-3 and 6-5 respectively. And then the rest of the division goes as follows: Miami Marlins at 4-6, Atlanta Braves at 4-7, Nationals at 2-6. It's very early in the year. Panic button is far from being pressed. Let's have Zach Wheeler get this team back on track tonight.
You're not worried?
I'm not worried.
You're not worried because this is when the Phillies baseball should be at its best, Zach. We know how good the Phillies baseball is in the month of April, and then we know how bad it is in the month of June. April and May is the best time to watch. I mean, come on, Zach. We know it is. We know it is. Is June, July, and August showing its head already? Zach, I'm not even looking forward to the summer. This is how they're going to play. I'm planning on, and Zach, I was planning on going to a Phillies game with our good friend John Warner. All right, Dodgers fan. My favorite player is Mookie Betts. All right, we wanted to go see them play when they come. But it's like, if they're playing like this, if the Phillies are playing like this, I don't want to go. Here's why. Let's be honest, Zach. If Alec Bohm is called out, this team is below 500. Just like that. Let's be honest. Let's call it how it is. This team is below 500. And we came on this show the day after they swept the Braves. We came on this show. And what was the person that said? Oh, the Phillies are great. You sweep the Braves. You sweep the National League runner-ups. All right. Phillies fans do their job. They go running around and taunting the Braves as they leave. And then what happens? The real Phillies show up. You start to lose. And now look at us. We're 6-5. There's nothing to be happy. Am I being a little overreactive right now? It's like, I think I might be. But this is Phillies baseball. You know it. The bullpen still is iffy. There's some nice arms there. You just lost Archie Bradley for a little while due to, is it a wrist sprain? What is it? Yeah, it's a wrist sprain.
Yeah, it's nothing too major from what we see, but that's always how it starts. But I think he'll be back in a couple weeks.
It starts with a wrist sprain. Zach, the way the Phillies need to, one, keep the offense has to keep hot, and they have to score runs, and the bullpen has to not lose in the games. And Aaron Nola, give us your money back, because ever since we paid you, you have not looked at a guy that deserved to get paid before. Zach, what's going on with Aaron Nola? I get he's not a gas thrower. He's a control guy. It takes a little bit for the guy to get his control. But Zach, he played in spring training. He has 3 starts under his belt now. How much time can you give somebody? I don't understand this.
I mean, you have 7 strikeouts, just a walk, but you do have 3 earned runs with 7 hits. That's pretty bad for an outing. 27 years old, year 6? It's been a disaster for him so far. He did not look good last year. He looked fine in his first start. I wouldn't even call it impressive. We knew the defense was not going to be as good as it was the first week of the year, but my concerns are on the other side of the ball. My concern is number 3. My concern is the bottom of that lineup. My concern is JT Realmuto. Rhys Hoskins is doing his thing. McCutcheon's getting up there in age. You got to start looking at depth for that. At this moment, the MLB season is 7% done. It is too early to evaluate this team. It is too early to evaluate anybody. At the 20-game mark, I'll revisit it, Gavin, but as of right now, I still see no reason to believe why this Phillies team can't be competing in the playoffs come this fall.
It's like they had to make a move. And remember, they missed out on Nolan Arenado for I can't even imagine who they got rid of for. You missed out on Mookie Betts the year before. You missed on I mean, if you were ever in the Bauer sweepstakes, I know Trevor Bauer had his list of his own, but he looks nice. He has 19 strikeouts and 2 starts, Zach. And the win, it should have been 2, but he got robbed of the first one. But Zach, what I'm trying to say is this. The Phillies have to make a move quickly because this is one of arguably the best division in baseball behind maybe the the NL West. But you can't fall last. Zach, we were talking about a team that was competing for second to third place every year, to now looking to be maybe back where they used to be, second to last, behind the Mets. And that's hard to say because the Mets were nothing special. I was like, this is going to be a long year for Phillies baseball if this is going to play like up and down. You had to play hot. You had to catch hot. You had to be hot for a whole month. 4 months, 5 months in baseball, 4 to 5 months. You got
March to September regular season.
So you have to at least be hot 3 out of those 5 months, and I'll give you 2.5 because it's hard to be hot for 3 months.
Look, man, I mean, this team, there's a lot of reason to cast doubt on them. There's a lot of reasons to put trust in them. Though Mickey Moniak has been called up. Let's see if that can maybe help out a little bit. Adam Hazley is out for personal reasons as of right now. Roman Quinn has been just god-awful at the plate. This has been a really tough one to watch. But, yes, coming up very shortly, next 2.5 hours, the Phillies will be playing the New York Mets in Game 3 of their 4-game series in Citi Field. I expect a win tonight. Hopefully a win tomorrow to end it with Eflin on the mound at 12-10, and then they're hosting both the Cardinals and then the Giants. and then they're off to Colorado to play the Rockies, up to St. Louis, back home against New York. This is a chance to go on a run at the end of April. I would like to see this team do that. If 20 games in, they're 14-6, 13-7. I'll take that. That's a strong start in my opinion. Even 11 or 12-8. That's all you need. This is the MLB. It's 162 games. We are very early in the year. It's not even warm outside yet, really. I mean, it is, but it's not up to temperatures that we need it to be. As far as, of course, playing golf and baseball and everything that's enjoyable in the 80s and 90s, it's that early on. So I think for us, it's time. It's not time to pump the brakes on hype. It's also not time to pump the brakes on freaking out. Somewhere in between, where the expectations for this team need to be.
You're not worried. You're not looking at your penny buttons.
But I got no reason right now to believe why this team cannot be making.
Take that hat to Zach. Listen.
So.
You're not looking at your penny buttons.
Hat shopping, Gavin, of course, courtesy of helping choose the hat. But maybe this will be good luck this year. Who knows?
Zach, if that's not good luck, we should return it. I'm serious. And we should return that, and I should throw this in the trash. I don't know what to tell you, Zach. You spend money on a team. You get the best catcher in baseball. Your bullpen's ferocious, and you get 2 arms. You don't get anybody else. You retain your players, which is good. I like Didi. Didi's playing out of his mind defensively. Gene Segura is all right here, time from time. Scott Kingery, stay down. Don't ever come back up. And like I said, Roman Quinn is just trash. Let's call it out. He's just trash. He has speed, but he can't hit the ball. I can't watch this team.
I mean, look, it's early in the year. Don't freak out yet, because we could be singing a different tune in a few weeks and hopefully seeing a red October.
You will be. I'm not. I'm going to be honest.
We got a lot of time before that, but with that being said, Sixers starting 5, Brooklyn Nets bench tonight at Wells Fargo Center. What was supposed to be an exciting, anticipated matchup has fallen beneath us. Could that affect how these teams do in the playoffs? Here are our thoughts after this. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this. Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Network, just breaking down the Philadelphia Phillies. Before that, talking about the Atlantic article dropping a bombshell on the Philadelphia Eagles franchise. But Gavin, let's talk about it. The Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers are tied atop first place right now. Kevin Durant out tonight, just precautions with a back-to-back. A game that was expected to play Monday, but due to a lot of unforeseen circumstances, the game rightfully so was postponed and moved to yesterday in Minnesota. With all that being said, Blake Griffin is also out. LaMarcus Aldridge is out. James Harden is out with a hamstring injury. I'm trying to research through Twitter to check the status of Kyrie Irving. I've heard nothing, so I assume that he is expected to play. But Gavin, before the season, I said that this Nets team had one opponent in their way. It was themselves. Are we starting to see that?
No, Zach. Here's why. Kevin Durant just came off a back-to-back where he had 30-plus points yesterday evening. He had 31 in 27 minutes. James Harden has played every single game since he got traded there, and he's out with a hamstring. Kyrie Irving, when he's there, he plays, he balls. Zach, 40 points, 28, 30. To say that they're getting in their own way, I don't believe that yet. It's when they're all healthy and they're not playing. The only one that's getting his own way, if you want to call it that, is Kyrie Irving, but Zach, when he's there, he's balling. It's the injury bug. It's the availability of these guys that is getting in their way. I know Kevin Durant. Kyrie
has taken 3. This is his 3rd or 4th personal reasoning for visit.
I get that.
Call it. And you can get that, but what happens in the playoffs?
But when you're in a Zach, once
You know,
again,
people have emotions in the.
team,
If you're dealing with emotional issues, you think it's not going to happen in the playoffs. Like, this isn't an insult. This is a legitimate concern for the Brooklyn Nets.
but this team is not worried about the regular season. This team is built for the playoffs. This team is ready for the playoffs. Zach, they don't care what goes on
Why?
right
Every
now.
single players come short for them.
Say that again.
As of late, all of those players, when they're the it guy on their team, have come short in the playoffs. Look. As Ben Simmons had said it, and I want to get some of your thoughts actually, Gavin. Ben Simmons had two notable quotes yesterday or 2 days ago. Number one, said he scored 42 on Gobert and he's not a scorer apparently. And then he also said the comment that at the end of the day with the Nets, you have to be able to play defense to win. Does Ben Simmons have the right to talk here? Are you frustrated with it, or do you like the energy that he's bringing?
I like it. Talk, Ben Simmons. Let him know. First of all, Zach, let me break it down one by one. Rudy Gobert, I like that. He's right. He did drop 42, and Zach, the last time I checked, they're 1-1 versus him, and Ben Simmons had a nice game to start. 42 points on Rudy Gobert. That is true. He did do it. But Ben Simmons, when you're talking about both sides of the ball, that applies for you too, my friend Zach. He has to be a scorer as well. And I'm not talking inside the paint. I'm not talking just 12 points. If you want to make sure that you secure the championship for the city, because that's the main goal, is championship or bust. You heard Daryl Morey say it. You have to also play offense. We get it. You're all-around defensive scorer. That's what you're meant to do. But Joel Embiid can't drop 30 a night. Tobias Harris can't beat the next man up. After that, Tobias Harris was an all-star snubs. You were the all-star on this. You're the second all-star. The ball should run through you. There's no other person that can guard you. There's no point guard in the league that can guard you. But you don't play like it some nights. And I get it. Joel Embiid is number one priority. I get it. You run the offense through him. Sometimes run the offense through Tobias Harris. But Zach, what point guard is stopping Ben Simmons? What? Okay. Besides outside, before I hand it to you, outside of maybe KD, Kawhi Leonard, and maybe LeBron James at certain points, who's stopping Ben Simmons? A center's too slow, power forward's too slow, and there's not another small forward that comes to mind that can really stop Ben Simmons but himself.
I was going to say, the only person that stops him is himself. It's a mental issue. Hopefully he starts getting more aggressive. My only thing, and this goes for anybody out there, when you talk, back it up. I'll leave it as simple as that. Gavin, predictions for tonight. I expect the Sixers to win. Starting five is out there. Kyrie Irving is not going to be able to beat you with their bench. They're going to be pretty deep tonight, expecting guys like Landry Shamet, Joe Harris, Nicholas Claxton to get the starts tonight. DeAndre Jordan will get some looks as well. Sixers should be able to take care of business tonight. Let's pull up a full game on the Brooklyn Nets. Try to secure that one seed because the Sixers do need the one seed much more than the Brooklyn Nets do. The Sixers are the less talented team, and they would need the easier route in order to get to that Eastern Conference final, which ultimately would be against Brooklyn.
Zach, I'm feeling the Sixers win tonight as well. But don't sleep on Kyrie Irving. This is a guy that did go for 50 points. And yes, Zach, he did lose that game last year when he did go for 50. But Kyrie Irving is also his box office. And for some reason, he does give teams problems. Teams like this, for instance, would give a problem when you think there wouldn't be a problem. There would be one. I expect a dominant game for Joel Embiid. Once again, that's the best center in the game right now. The most dominant center in the game overall. Joel Embiid is going for 30 tonight. 30 and 10. Rebounds hasn't really been much of an issue for Joel Embiid as of recently. He hasn't really tried, but that's okay when you're scoring. But Zach, my sleeper or my highlight or my underrated, whatever you want to call it has to be Ben Simmons. Zach, as you said, you talk the talk, now you got to do the walk. Zach, me personally, I don't like talking trash. I let my game speak for me.
Yeah, it's quite the good interior defense. You gave me quite the trouble in all the years. Yes, I agree. Ben Simmons, he's going to need to be able to back it up. Maybe not tonight. Tonight should be an easy game for him. You just got to do your part. But I expect to see more from him. The aggressive Ben that we saw right before the All-Star break, that's the one we need. 20 points tonight. That's all we asked for. With that being said, everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us today. We're covering three of the major sports teams, of course, the Flyers as well. In a slump and struggling, we will hopefully have Chris on sooner than later so we can further discuss with him some of the feedback.
I'll tell you that much.
He looked so frustrated in those videos, so I don't want to be too much of a bother to him. But Look, we'll try to get them on, continue to give you guys all the awesome coverage that we do. The Eagles situation is just a mess. Let's hope for a Phillies win. Let's hope for a Sixers win. With that being said, everybody, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch us today. We appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and have a nice night. Let's go Sixers, and let's go Phillies.
Have a good one, everybody. Check out Monday's show. It's a good one. Check out Monday and check out the Thursday. I'm slipping my mind the date, but check out those two shows. They're really good.
For sure. We'll push it tomorrow. I'll look at the date tonight. We'll figure it out. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a good one, everybody. Spread the love.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live